This is an update, ladies and gentlemen. Remember the cop who ran over a suspect, damn near killing the suspect? Well, that same cop actually killed a teenager last year. Let me remind you of the footage of the SUV incident. Here it is. That looked accidental to you? That was intentional, clearly. Let's put up a picture of the officer, Jonathan Granado. Let's put his picture up. Okay, keep his picture up for just a hot second. You see, they were playing hide the pickle until we did this story. Now they've released the picture of the officer involved. But this officer also killed a teenager. Let me give you some background. He is now a former Lake Worth officer who was sued Monday and accused of using excessive force in 2020 in a 2020 arrest, also fatally shooting a teen in Fort Worth in 2021. That's according to the police chief. Lake Worth police chief said at a news conference Tuesday that former officer Jonathan Granado was suspended for 2 weeks and put on administrative duty during an investigation after he hit a fleeing suspect with a police vehicle back in November of 2020. Let's put up a picture of Mr. Dustin Bates. That's Mr. Bates. That's the man he hit with his SUV. The suspect, Mr. Bates, was seriously injured, ladies and gentlemen. Bates was charged with evading arrest and drug possession, but those charges were completely dismissed due to prosecutorial discretion in August. The police chief said independent investigation indicated the crash was an accident. Oh, there's no intention here. And the grand jury declined to indict the officer. Granado was required, now get this, to undergo additional training and present to his peers what he learned from the incident and that he could do better before he returned to active duty. I mean, that'll do it. Yes, go to additional training and go back to police officers you work with and say, guys, I've learned my lesson. I almost killed a man and I tried to. Now I want you to think about this. Dustin Bates, he survived, had a broken leg, he had broken ribs, but he lived, right? Initially, the police department, they came out and said that he broke his leg when he got off the motorcycle, that he broke his ribs when he got off the motorcycle. The man that you see running for his dear life doesn't look like he has a damn broken leg and broken ribs. But that was the cover up initially. Cover up always speaks to corruption. You cannot engage in even the beginning of a cover up without someone creating an atmosphere for it to happen. But the video came out and the video went viral. Now, Lake Worth police suspended Granado for 2 weeks for violating department policies related to the safe operation of a vehicle. The police chief said in March, a Tarrant County grand jury declined to indict the officer in connection with the crash. In another incident, this same cop, put his picture up again. This same police officer fired at an 18-year-old and killed that 18-year-old kid, according to the chief of police. Fort Worth police investigated the shooting as an independent third party. Independent third party. You guys are basically the same, all right? The official report notes that one of the fleeing suspects was in fact armed, okay? Back to the lawsuit. Bates, the man who was hit by the SUV and almost killed, said he was riding a motorcycle on November 23rd, 2020. This was in Lake Worth when Officer Granado pulled in behind him and radioed that he could not see Bates' license plate. That's according to court documents. Seconds later, the officer gave the license plate number to dispatch, and authorities determined it did not match the motorcycle Bates was driving, according to the lawsuit. The police chief later determined the motorcycle was not stolen. So initially, they are pursuing this as a stolen vehicle. Whatever happened in that dispatch said this tag does not belong to this motorcycle. But they assumed, based on that information, that this was a stolen vehicle. It was not stolen whatsoever. Once again, the young man was mowed down and he could have died. Now, I wonder if death would have happened. And this is why I'm so glad I have Attorney Dahl on the show. If Mr. Bates would have died, which by the way could have easily happened. This was an SUV running over a human being. He could have easily died. If he would have died, do you think the result would have been the same with the police agency, giving this man a 2-week suspension and saying that he has to basically go in front of the classroom and tell them what he did?
I don't think so, because there is more outcry from the community when there is a death. And so they probably would do more than the 2 weeks. Whether or not he would have been criminally charged, that's unclear, because they didn't, the grand jury decided not to criminally charge him here, even though this could have been considered an assault or attempted killing. So that's unclear, but definitely more than a 2-week suspension.
Yeah, and it's interesting because now he's no longer a police officer. But as I say all the time, even though there's no criminal prosecution, I think it should have been. I think he should have been charged with trying to mow down the civilian. Even though the charges were dropped and there's no criminal prosecution of the cops, this is going to end up costing them money. One, I do think he wins the lawsuit. But two, the city has to pay money to defend it or settle it no matter what. This is going to cost taxpayer dollars, right?
Absolutely. And your point about it not being an independent investigation, that's exactly what I thought when I saw this story. A lot of times corporations, when they get in trouble, they'll hire a law firm as an independent review process because they're independent and it's a law firm and they have their own liability to be thorough about it. So to have an internal investigation, I'm not sure exactly the makeup of the city's internal investigation, but there should be this sense that there is true accountability. We've talked about this on the show over and over and over. Police officers often reveal who they are in smaller actions, and this happens. It's usually that one same police officer will end up having a escalating consequences. If they caught it sooner, somebody's life could have been saved.
Well said.